Hi, everyone. It's Amanda Rieger Green. Welcome to Soul Sessions. Today, we have a special episode and a really important episode. We're going to talk about Mars retrograde. You've heard me mention this in the past few weeks, but I wanted to do a deep dive, give you a roadmap so you can navigate. We can all navigate this energy with some grace, some patience, and trust because it's going to take a little bit of fortitude and resolve on all of our parts. But what will come out of this through the experience and on the other side as we move into 2025 is a greater sense of self confidence, self worth, strength, clarity, and direction forward. So the other side of this is pretty darn brilliant. The way through it is going to get a little treacherous. So let's dive in. Mars retrogrades just like all of the other planets, but it retrogrades about every 2 or so years. So it doesn't happen too often, but it happens often enough. Every 2 years will do for me. And when it retrogrades for about 8 to 11 weeks. So it's a good chunk of time. What is Mars? Mars is an inner planet, which means we feel it a little bit more intensely in the day to day. We've got outer planets like Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and they move slower. So they connect with us throughout our lifetime from an evolutionary and soul level, life level perspective. The inner planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, interact with us on the daily. And then we have the sun and moon, which are actually not planets, but in astrology, we call them planets. So you got the sun and the moon, and then Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Mars is fiery. It represents and personifies drive, courage, ambition, fight, anger, aggression, sex, desire, passion, enthusiasm, courage. Think of all of those fiery words and attributes that give you your oomph, your get up and go, or your hot headedness, your reactionary behavior, your I'm furious about this, or oh my gosh, I'm delighted about this. It's all of that passion. So it's emotional and fiery. There's creativity. And when Mars energy is funneled, it is pure positive potential. When it is funneled well and wisely and directed through the body and into the heart, that's where the juice is. But we're human. We are having a human experience here, and we've got people, we've got emotions, we've got bills to pay, children to take care of, people to break up with, whatever is on your plate. We have life that happens, and Mars is oftentimes that energy is what triggers our fight or flight. And that is one of the things as we shift and evolve and move into fifth dimensional energy or hope to evolve in that direction. We are healing old PTSD as a species, as humanity around fight or flight, where it is survival of the fittest. So think of this Mars retrograde. If you want to think about it from a higher perspective, from a fifth dimensional perspective, think about the phase from December 6th, 2024 to February 23rd of 2025. That's the span. Think of this phase as I'm not just healing my own pain and anger and frustration and fear and doubt and worry and suffering. I am healing myself in order to gift that to the collective so we can heal trauma and fight or flight energy, PTSD in our cells, in our DNA. And for me, that's what says, okay, girlfriend, you can do this. Like, this is for something bigger. Through this, we will be brighter, smarter, clearer, healthier, wiser, more experienced, more directed. And I want you all to remember that. And guess what? You're going to forget it 25 times between now and February 23rd. And you're going to say, I quit, I give up, everybody's against me. I can't do it. I'm so angry. Life is unfair. I mean, all of it is going to come out for each one of us. So, guess what? We don't have to do this alone. We get to do it together. So, one of the things I want to suggest to everyone before I get started and dive into the specifics and some of the road mapping is between December 6th and February 23rd. And if you need to write this down on your calendar and put some reminders in, do it. You may have your testing moments, your fears and frustrations come up. But when you notice them in other people, because you will, where can you be supportive? Where can you set a boundary or not enable? Where can you reach out and say, hey, how can I be of service to you today? So remember that you don't have to do this alone. We're not doing this alone. We get to move through this together and we're all experiencing the same transit. So don't feel alone and connect with other people. Or shoot, if you're talking to a friend and they don't know anything about astrology, be like, oh, you're having a bad day. It's just Mars. And they'll just look at you sideways and you'll be like, just don't worry about it. It's Mars. It's not you, it's Mars. And I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing. I'm just making a joke so you can lighten the mood because guess what? Laughter is a medicine. Laughter, joy, fun, ease, those things will heal and help you create an easier transition through this. So here are the specifics. On December 6th, Mars will retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo. So we have 6 degrees of Leo that Mars is going to back through from 6 degrees to 0 degrees of Leo. And that occurs between December 6th and January 6th. And then on January 6th, as we're in early 2025, Mars will back up into Cancer from 29 degrees of Cancer, backing up all the way through 17 degrees of Cancer. So it's the first 6 degrees of Leo, and then it backs all the way through Cancer till it hits 17 degrees. Find this in your natal chart. Figure out what house or houses Mars is retrograding in, because that will help you better understand what you're dealing with. And you will recognize what lessons may be coming up for you and creating anger, frustration, fear, lack of energy or enthusiasm, and where you feel your lethargy or your lack of vitality. That way you can give yourself some grace and you'll know where to ask for help. Or you can also say, oh, no wonder I'm struggling professionally because, oh, great, it's in my 10th house of career. Or no wonder I feel so depleted creatively. I'm not having fun. I'm not enjoying myself. I don't feel passionate about anything. I just feel depressed and blah. Oh, it might be in your 5th house of creativity. If you don't know your natal chart, there will be a link in the show notes so you can pull a free natal chart and you put in your birth information. And in order to do that, you need the time you were born, obviously the date you're born, the location you're born. And if you don't know the time you were born, because there are a lot of people out there who don't know that, you can do unknown time and you'll get an approximation, but you may not be able to get your house system. But get your natal chart and figure out what degrees and what houses Mars is retrograding in. And that way you can say, okay, Mars is retrograde in my 2nd house. What is the 2nd house about? Oh, the 2nd house is about self-worth, how we value ourselves, our own personal values, and money, the material world. Okay, shoot, no wonder I'm having a ton of financial fear, or I'm feeling that I am not worthy or valuable, or I'm feeling underappreciated. Oh, shoot. If Mars is in my freaking 2nd house, and by the way, that's where mine is. It's in my retrograde is in my 2nd house. So I'm like, woohoo. That sounds like a lot of fun, but I'm here for it. And I'm here for all of you. So remember this. We'll start with Leo energy and then we'll move into Cancer energy. So from December 6th until January 6th, Mars will retrograde in Leo. Think about Leo energy. Leo is ruled by the sun. It is a fire sign, as is Mars. Mars is fiery, Leo is fiery. So there's passion and creativity. Leo is about the healthy development of ego. More than anything, Leo is about shining its light, generosity, and the healthy development of ego. What does the healthy development of ego mean? The ego is always guiding and directing us. And the question is my ego directing me from a place of fear or a place of love? And most of us throughout this life, the ego is like saying, I want what I want and I want it now and I'm desperate for it and I need it or else I'm doomed. Like that's kind of the energy that the ego creates. And it's not doing it on purpose to keep us down. It's just trying to give us what we want, but it's in this misguided way. And a huge pathway for all of us in this lifetime is interconnecting our ego with our higher consciousness. We need the ego. It gets a bad rap. And Leo is the sign of the ego. It's ruled by the sun, for goodness sakes. And who's the center of the solar system? Look at me, look at me. The sun, Leo. And I say that with a lot of love because you got to smile. Leos are the great performers. They love attention, they love being seen. And it's funny because they're kind of reserved and closed off and sometimes aloof and hard to get to know. But think of the Leos in your life, or if you are a Leo, think of those attributes. Those are the attributes that are going to be a bit strained, diminished, turned inwards. So they are repressed. And that repression, when Mars is retrograde, that assertion and drive and energy, especially in the sign of Leo, it's going to do a number on our self confidence because Leo is about, again, this healthy expression of ourselves, creative, spontaneous self expression. So we're going to feel a diminished and depleted vitality. The sun is about vitality. So that is your physical vitality. You may feel exhausted or run down. And it is imperative through this to remember to honor your body, honor what you're feeling, but also practice discernment on, are you just pulling the covers over your head? And have you done that for 3 days in a row? Or can you pull the covers over your head and sleep in an extra 20 minutes and then get up and show up for life? So finding some balance is important while listening to yourself and your needs. But there is a real tendency to beat up on ourselves with Mars retrograde in Leo. Really, that inner self critic will be off the chain. Like, you're not enough. You're not doing enough. You're not worthy. You're not special. You're not unique. You don't have unique talents. God is mad at you. Nobody loves you. I mean, I am just coming up with the wildest rhetoric, but that's the rhetoric that will be playing. And I'll tell you what, instead of always hearing that in your head, feel where it shows up in your body. Like it's just this sense of your heart shutting down. And I want everybody to notice, especially with Mars retrograde in Leo, when you feel tightness in your chest, whether your shoulders are hurting, so it's in the shoulder area, or you feel tension in your chest. And a really great practice, and I've shared this before, but I love to do it, is to take the palm of my hand and place it on my sternum and just rub in circles on my sternum because it activates my heart chakra. And when I do it, I naturally roll my shoulders back and lift my chin up. So I'm opening the area between my heart chakra and my throat chakra. I'm literally rolling my shoulders back, which helps me with my posture. And if anybody loves good posture, it's Leo. They love good regal posture. But to roll your shoulders back, lift your chin up, and then massage your breastplate, your sternum, activate the heart center. Breathe into your chest cavity and think about your heart chakra, not just from the front side, but from the back side. I think about my heart chakra and I think about my back and my lungs, and like that's where my angel wings are. So when I think of the heart chakra, we always kind of come from the front orientation of our body. And I'm like, but no, our angel wings are in the back. Like it covers that whole area of the heart and the lungs and the expansiveness. So maybe when you rub your sternum and you self soothe and you say, I am enough. I am worthy. I'm a divine child of God. I am seated from the divine. I am uniquely and wonderfully made. This is a beautiful time to really go within and reprogram, because this is what's being asked of us throughout Mars retrograde is a deep unconscious, subconscious reprogramming. And that's where I get excited about this. When that old rhetoric of you're not enough, you're not doing enough, you're not special, you don't have talents, you're never going to be successful. I mean, again, I'm using the biggest broad strokes I can with some of the most depleting and diminishing language. But anytime that stuff comes up, come to your heart space, massage your sternum, breathe in and out, create space, create good posture, open up your heart and to your throat, and reprogram the subconscious. I am enough. I am worthy. My cup runneth over. My divine talents are shining through organically. The ideal people, places, and scenarios are showing up to support my path forward, and I get to support theirs. The other thing that I want to mention with Mars retrograde in Leo is the practices or the antidotes. Laughter is one of them. So, wherever you can laugh or dance or express your creativity just to move your body a little bit, that is helpful. And I'll tell you what, in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the dead of winter. So, it's the time we like to hibernate. We go to bed early, it gets dark early, and we're like, oh, I'm just not going to go work out tonight. Or, I'm just gonna get in bed. I'm not gonna go meet my friends for dinner. Like, if you're feeling that because it's already winter, Mars retrograde is gonna push down on that. So if you are prone to depression or wintertime depression, you may be feeling it, so just be mindful of that. Move your body. Whether you go on a walk or you stand up and do jumping jacks or you are finding some way to get your body moving and shaking just a little bit at a time, it will be helpful. The other practice that I want to share is Leo, when it shines its light, it's the great performer. And when it leads with its heart, leads with its generous heart, and shines its light, it lights up a room. It inspires and entertains other people. So if you are feeling low and down and depressed, you say, who can I reach out to inspire today? I may not feel inspired or be inspired, but let me pick up the phone and love on somebody else. And it's not acting as if energy, it's getting out of yourself, Leo, self, I, me, and into the generosity of the heart. Let me check on so and so today. And I know for me, when, especially, I guess maybe the best example I have to use is being in recovery. One of the things that I know is when I get out of myself and I am of service, it creates a healing for me, and the motive is not, selfish. It's more, "Let me get out of myself," and then next thing you know, I am feeling uplifted. I am feeling like I have been useful or helpful or productive, and I've gotten out of the voice in my head and the little snarky minutia that I have a hard time shutting off, and then I've gotten into truly wanting to love on, support, or connect with another person, and then next thing you know, I feel light. I feel delighted. So get out of yourself and be of service. Those are the tricks for Mars retrograde in Leo. Just remember, you may feel depressed, you may feel lethargic, you may really be beating up on yourself with the voice in your head. All of it is a fake out. Walk through this, reprogram the subconscious. We've got this. And don't forget it. Don't forget that when you're like, oh, shoot, it's going to be like the 15th of the month and you're going to be hearing the chatter and you're like, why am I feeling so bad? We'll be like, Mars is retrograde in Leo. Don't forget. And it may not just be that, but I'm giving you the astrological roadmap. Okay. January 6th, the game changes. The game changes and Mars backs up into Cancer. All right, Cancer is a water sign. It is the sign of nurture and comfort, wisdom. It's the healer, the mother. It is protective. It is compassionate and loving. It is highly intuitive. And then on the flip side, it is controlling, micromanaging, vindictive, manipulative, and overly sensitive, wearing its heart on its sleeve. So when Mars, fiery old Mars, moves into Cancer, Mars is not comfortable in Cancer, even when it's going direct. Why is it not comfortable? Well, Mars is a big old ball of fire, and Cancer is like this beautiful running stream of water. Those two things, like the big fireball crashes into the beautiful, lovely stream with the birds chirping. It's oil and vinegar. So, is it going to create extra sensitivity? Yes. Is it going to burst open some psychic abilities? Oh, heck yes, if you work it. It sure will. It'll really burst open some intuitive abilities. But in order to do that, you have to recognize where you're taking things to personally, because it will feel very sensitive. It will feel like people are forgetting about you, or people aren't seeing how important you are, or they said something and were rude and it was all about you. So again, it's I, me, but it takes everything personally. And we will feel sensitive emotionally. We may feel a bit fragile. So, going from this redevelopment of ego, this refining of ego, we're going to feel a bit fragile as Mars backs up into Cancer. And what can come out of that is a tremendous amount of passive aggressive behavior, because Cancer isn't so direct, like, "I'll cut you," like, that's not really Cancer. Cancer's like, "Oh, okay, bless your heart, asshole." Excuse my language, but that's kind of like, it's a little, I'm just being cheeky here, and I love my Cancers. I'm a Cancer rising. But literally, I'm just giving you the lay of the land of how these sneaky behaviors can turn inward on us and retaliate. So it can be a bit manipulative, passive aggressive, meaning not wanting to confront stuff and then sneaking around and do it in the background, or talking behind someone's back rather than addressing something to someone's face and saying, "Hey, you hurt my feelings." Or, "When you did this, I felt this way," and talking to someone face to face. Instead, you backdoor it and you're like, "Did you know what they did to me? Oh, I can't believe they did this." It's like water cooler talk that goes awry. So, your best bet is, when you feel pain, when you feel sensitive, can use your disclaimer and tell on yourself, or say, "Hey, gosh, you said that and I don't know what you meant by it, but man, I took it personally. Gosh, I took it personally. I don't know if I'm just sensitive today, or are you actually upset with me?" It's like, grow some cojones, literally. And as I'm saying this to you all, I am saying it to myself. Grow some cojones and be able to say, "Gosh, are you in a mood today?" Or like, "Did I do something to offend you? Because that was really blunt." Or, "You just totally left me out of that." I mean, like, get direct, but not in an ugly way, more like, "Let's get this out on the table, because I don't wanna feel all this emotional turmoil." And when we feel emotional turmoil, think about this. If we are co-creators of our own realities, either conscious or unconscious, our thoughts are writing the program, and the emotions are the freaking jet fuel. So it's like having a resentment. You are resenting, re-feeling the same thing over and over, and you are reinforcing an old program, or a negative feeling, or a fear-based experience over and over. And that is starting to write the code internally that's being interpreted externally. It's deep stuff, but when you start, at least for me, when I think about it that way, I am so motivated to resiliently reprogram the code. "Ooh, I'm feeling icky. What is this that I'm feeling? Let me look at my side of the street. Actually, maybe I should call somebody and get them to help walk me through this, or, show me what I am not seeing in my blind spot." So this is a wonderful time to seek wise counsel. One, to confront things and nip them in the bud, and not in an ugly way, just like, "Hey, let's put our cards out on the table. When you said this, I felt this way. What's going on with you? Did you mean that?" Just clear the air as fast as you can, and you will not only feel better, you will also probably realize, gosh, they were having a bad day. That wasn't about me at all. Whoa, I take a lot of things personally. Or man, I need to grow up a little bit. Not everything is about me. You may have some massive revelations that can be super beneficial. The other thing is what we're getting worked out is our emotional intelligence. Our emotional quotients are going to be tested, and our emotions are a huge component of our mind, body, spirit experience. And if we are getting an upgrade here, paying attention to how you feel and where that shows up in your body, because that will help you with your intuition. And this is a beautiful time to strengthen intuition and to learn to better listen to your gut, your instincts. So notice where you are feeling tension, pain, or there is something physically going on in your body. Where does the pain go? Is it gut stuff for you? Is it stomach stuff? Is it lower back? Is it upper back? Is it your jaw? Is it headaches? Is it your joints? Where are your Achilles heels, sensitive places in your body where your body accumulates pain, trauma, emotional gunk, fear, and tension? And if you can start to connect some dots, you can start to create some conscious awareness for healing. And when you heal things and recognize things in your physical body, it actually it does multiple things on a biological and physiological scale, but on the quantum field, it starts to align and get us in better sync. And I mentioned that during this time, our intuition could be heightened. The reason for that is because Cancer is very wise, knowing, and intuitive when it's in its highest form. It's just the sign and the energy that provides wise counsel and wisdom. And that is because Cancer is connected with our psychology. Cancer in the astrological wheel is the lowest point on the astrological chart. So it's south. If you did north, south, east, west, it is south. And that is our psychology. And what my favorite astrologer, Stephen Forrest, always says about Cancer is the question to ask is, what brings me happiness at this time? What does happiness look like for me? And that may not sound like it's related to Cancer, but it is. It's like, when am I happy? What brings me happiness today? When we are in tune with what brings us a sense of happiness, usually we are in tune with our psychology. And on the flip side of that, what doesn't bring me happiness? What makes me unhappy, grumpy, and moody? Because Cancer is moody. It's watery and moody. It's emotional. But you want to be able to utilize and alchemize your emotions so you can find greater happiness through the remainder of this transit while Mars is in Cancer. Because I think on the other side of it, as Mars stations direct on the 23rd of February, and that will happen at 9 p.m. Eastern on February 23rd, 2025. And I tell you what, the astrology gets pretty wild and crazy and exciting after February. March and April, May, and June have really exhilarating astrology. Some big outer planets are making changes. So it feels like this Mars retrograde is a divine setup to rewire us, rewire old fears, anger, aggression, whether they are sensitive and internalized and emotional, like in Cancer, or they are related to our confidence and our empowerment and our sense of joy to Eve, Leo. This is a big transit, and I believe that we will all grow tremendously, and it's going to be a little achy. It's going to be painful. We will say things and do things that come out sideways, but the question is, how quickly can you own your side of the street, own your stuff, use your disclaimers, and get back on your path into that fifth dimensional heart space that will open up more trust, more love, more connectivity, and compassion. And that's what will open you up, not only to enhanced intuition, but living through higher consciousness, which is really going to be a theme of 2025 with the numerology and the astrology. So look at this as a divine setup, navigate it a day at a time, and remember, we're not alone. Reach out to people, check in on other people, and know that we're all walking through this transit together. But through the other side of it, there is tremendous healing and growth that is really clearing out some old gunk in our genetics. And it is repairing DNA, especially in the reptilian brain. I think that's what's being worked so much is our fight or flight reptilian brain that is pretty antiquated in terms of our reality and experience today. And for us to ascend that piece of the brain, which is very integral to our experience, it is sometimes disconnected from our higher states of consciousness. And I feel like this Mars transit and retrograde is giving us an upgrade biologically and psychospiritually. So get into it and reach out and share experiences as we all walk through this, because I'm curious to see what people are struggling with or where people are having aha moments, especially in dealing with fear and pain and suffering and anger, and how you're alchemizing it, how you're healing it, and where you're able to share that healing and your healing journey to inspire other people. Thank you all for joining me. May the force be with you. Take care, everyone.